Welcome, 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 welcome to everyone. I would like to say and honor thank you all for being here to Awakenings Moments to Inspire. I am your host, Angela. Some people call me Angel. I am just so honored that you're here and that we can co create this hour together. It has been an amazing journey that has gotten me to this point. This show is about people coming together and sharing their stories of inspiration. Those moments where you were different before something happened and now it's changed you and you're a different person now. We've all got those stories, right? We all have those tales that have changed us, that have altered us, that have inspired us to do something with our lives and forward. But a lot of times we don't necessarily have community around us that is wanting to hear uplifting stories right now because of just the way the world is. And unfortunately, that's sad, and we would like to move on from that. And that's what this show is about getting stories out of love, inspiration, and hope. So this is what Awakening Moments to Inspire is here for. If anyone out there has any stories that you would like to share, I would love to hear from you. I would also, there's also a chat in both the Facebook and YouTube Live. So by all means, chat away in the chat there. I would love to read and interact with you that way. Maybe eventually down the road, the show can actually have a call board, which would allow people to interact with guests that are on at the same time. So that is what Awakenings Moments to Inspire is all about. Now, I think to move forward, we're going to do something called an Ave Saw breath, not only for you in the audience, but for myself too, because this is my inaugural show. And so I'm a little nervous. And so taking Ave Saw breaths helps us all to slow down, helps us get in touch with our inner selves, our little inner voice that loves to whisper sweet, lovely things in our ears to help guide us through life that most of us tend to ignore, unfortunately. But the Ave Saw breath allows you to get in contact and connected with that. So, for those of you who do not know what the Ave Saw breath is or breath work, I will give you a quick little brief little description. It is Ave. So we put our hands on our heart. That allows us to, for our bodies to immediately relax. It allows us to become very present and in the moment. Just a simple laying on of your hand on your heart is an amazing thing to help you calm down. I highly suggest even just doing that. And then if you are able to, you can take a deep Ave Saw breath. And what Ave Saw means basically is Ave is hail, just like in Ave Maria. Ave, hail. And I like to think hail to what? Hail to the divine, to the universe, to the spark inside of me, to the spark inside of all of you. That's what hail means to me. And then the saw is a relax or a surrender to the moment and to being whole and in the center of yourself. So that's what Ave Saw means. So on the inhale, you think Ave to yourself. Ave. And then on the exhale, it's a loud Saw. Of course, if you're in a public place, maybe you want to. But if you're in a nice, quiet sanctuary like I'm in here in Ontario, Canada right now, I just belt out that saw. The saw is a reflection of your surrender to the moment, that you're just going to surrender to yourself, the moment, and the energy that you have within yourself. And so we're going to do 3 deep Ave Saw breaths. Okay, so everyone together. Ave on the inhale. Ave. 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 And now, I don't know about you, but I feel a little more centered and grounded and a little less shaky, which is a good thing. For those of you who don't know about the Ave Saw or Yoga of Self-Ascension, I suggest my teachers, Shri and Kira, wisdom teacher Shri Ram Ka and Master Lady Kira, they're amazing, amazing people. And I would highly recommend you go check out their website. It's shriandkira.com. And there you'll be able to learn about the Avesa breath, sacred yoga, yoga of self-ascension. They're an amazing, amazing couple and an amazing, amazing community. So I highly recommend, if you're not already connected with them, to go over there and check them out. They're one of the reasons why I'm here. And I will probably get into that a little later on. So let me just refer to my notes one moment. Whew. So I would like to celebrate you all. I've got some chat in the chat. It's Batya. Namaste, Batya. So wonderful to see you. Thank you for being here. Um, this show is, again, it's all about sharing stories of inspiration and of love, and of love conquers all. Love, that's always been my motto in life. Love conquers all. And the I've always, ever since I was a little kid, pranced around and said, love is the strongest thing in the universe. And many of especially adults, because by the time you get up into adulthood, you can become a little bit jaded, right? Right. So most of the adults would say, oh, you'll see, there are stronger things than that. And I would insist that no, there is only one, the strongest force in the universe is love. Love conquers all. And I used to stick to that firmly when I was a little kid. And then as you get a little older, you start to lose yourself and you become a little jaded. But this show is about returning back to that, place where love can conquer all again, and to really know that that is true inside of us and around us, and that we create our existence, we create our lives, and we co-create our lives with the loved ones and the people around us, and how we interact with them, right? How we talk to them, how we be with them, how we see them, judge them, that all kind of flowers and influences our way of thinking and our feelings and whatnot towards other people. But if you're able to stay in that more positive framework, you can kind of lift your frequency above that, and you can begin to co-create things that you want in your life. So if you're constantly looking at things like the TV news, of course, with everything that's going on in the world, I highly would recommend, just checking in once in a while, but don't make it your daily routine and your daily habit to get yourself bogged down in it, because I noticed that the moment you do that, your frequency begins to go down a little bit. And I I did wind up doing that here recently. And in order to come out of it, I found the most simplest thing that you can do is to simply um, be thankful. Gratitude is an amazing thing. And I'd like to think that even if we are not doing so well, that if the you think the universe has dealt you an unfair hand, so on and so forth, I still think that there's got to be something that you can be thankful for, whether it's the clothes on your back, the food that you have. I am just so thankful for my life, and so thankful for the people and what I have in my life. Paring everything down, and being who you are, that is the truest and most important thing that you need to do for yourself. So trust yourself. That's also very important. Um, so since this show is about inspiration and about shifts in perspective and about moving forward, and I don't have a guest for today, so I thought I would offer myself up as the guest, just so you guys could get to know me a little bit better, and that you can find out how and why I got here. And on Oneness Talk Radio, um, I never thought that I would be here, even a year ago, 2 years ago, 6 months ago. This would had never even crossed my mind. Um, I was a young girl in Ontario who grew up in a beautiful family business, who was able to have things that most and choices and uh, options that a lot of people didn't have. And I am so thankful that I had these opportunities beyond measure. But again, something in me shifted and I became very, um, I was one of those kids that always wanted to be responsible for everybody else and take care of everybody else and look after everybody else. So I simply just fell into that persona and I got caught up in it. And that's not necessarily who I am completely. There's so much more to people, but we tend to try and pigeonhole ourselves, right? We tend to try and think, oh, I'll go this way because I know it'll make the family happy, or I'll go that way and I know it'll make, this person happy or that person happy. And somewhere bit by bit along the line, we just begin to give away bits of ourselves until we wake up one day and we don't even really recognize ourselves in the mirror again, right? Um, some people can get through it, and then other people develop things. And I developed an eating disorder, is what I developed, and I it was a rough time once I became an adult, but even as a teenager, I didn't mind it so much. I was the kind of kid that still did things. I went out and did all kinds of school activities and became part of um, my school community as best I could, being the quote unquote chubby girl, um, or let's face it, fat. But I realized that it's not about body wise aside, it's not about your outside appearance. You need to embrace the body that you have and then use it as best you can, to get through this life, because and love it because it is here for you. And I didn't have that relationship with my body. I cursed it. I hated it. It was, and not just that, food. So many things developed from being an adult, being overweight, living for other people. Bit by bit, I did lose myself. And I began to think that this is the way it is. And that's not at all true, which I have come to learn to believe. Oh, not just believe. No, I've come to know that that's not true. Um, Spirituality has always been a major part of my life. Ever since I was a little kid, I would sit in my parents' basement, our basement, with a children's Bible. And it was colorful pages, big pictures. It was a gorgeous little book. Oh, it wasn't that little, but it was beautiful. And I used to sit there and read through that book over and over and over again. It was my friend, it was my companion, and it was my comfort, actually. And I developed a beautiful relationship with the Bible and with Jesus and God. At least I thought I did at the time. And then part of the whole jaded, not only helping people and weight and living for other people, I kind of lost my spirituality too. Once I kind of hit teenage years, I began piecing together and noticing that, trying to think how to say this, religions and they weren't, they didn't have the heart of it, I guess would be the way I could say it. The heart, the feeling that I developed in the basement going through that beautiful book, I didn't feel it anymore. And because going to church, it wasn't fulfilling me. And so I went on a lifelong quest to find that feeling again and to see why things have to be so mixed up and so not in order, like why we have to hate one another, why we have to punish one another, why we have to do these things, why can't we just be like Jesus in my Bible, the place that I learned that love is the ultimate thing. So there was that component as well. And I figured all that was left for me to do is just get up, go to work, do what it is that I have to do, come home, get up, go to work, do what it is that I have to do. There were good times. I'm not saying there weren't. Oh my God, I ripped it up, man. Don't worry about that. There was a lot of fun. But that was also what I'd like to call a slightly different Angela, the Angela that wasn't really in her heart and in her soul. So I tried to go on a quest to seek out my own spirituality. I actually I got a degree in ancient classical history and religion and literature. So, and studied religion and literature in that process, and just to try and find out where we went wrong and why this message had gotten so mixed up. I really still haven't found the answer in that sense, but I have found the answer, the complete answer, the where love actually comes from answer, the universal heart, true love, where it comes from. So fast forward 6 years now, I guess. I was now in my 40s. I was now on my third mental breakdown. I was just a mess. I wasn't 600 pounds, but I have been 600 pounds, and I lost it all again, and I had gained it all back. And things just weren't the grandest. And so for me, I was at the end of my rope. It's hard to talk about. I was in real bad shape and had contemplated hurting myself, but I didn't. But I was laying there, and it was September 1st, 2016, and it was early in the morning. With my weight, I had developed a myriad of physical ailments and fibromyalgia and chronic fatigue syndrome, and a whole pile of other things that I'm not going to go into because those are diagnoses. So thanks, B. B said, breathe. You've got this. Thank you, B. So in 2016, I was at the end of my rope, and had really considered, this is it. Why am I here? The people around me I love, and for some reason I had convinced, like we all do, that have contemplated these things, that we convince ourselves that our families and our friends would be better without us, that we're a burden, so on and so forth. So I was lying there and I said to myself, well, if you're not going to do that, you got to do something. And I have a picture here of what I was like, but I'll tell you a little bit about the picture here in a moment. I said, you can't do this. You got some fire left in your belly. You can overcome this. And I said, okay, one last try, one more try, and we can do this. We'll do this. I know we'll do this. So I lifted up my cell phone. It was 6:30 in the morning, and I took a picture of myself. I don't know if you can see it or not, but that is me, September 1st, 2016. Probably the lowest point in my entire life. And from that point on, I took it upon myself to change. I couldn't change overnight. None of us can change overnight. Well, I guess if you have a near-death experience or something like that, you can, but unfortunately, I didn't have that. But I did have, I just decided that I would start putting one thing into my life that was a little different and taking one thing out of my life that was no longer suiting me. And bit by bit, my attitude and my mood improved. But also, I highly recommend this to everybody. Please, please, please. Try and find some type of self-reflection regime or meditation regime, mindfulness regime, anything that helps to kind of bring you back to center. I was able to adopt a really good meditation routine. And from that, I went into a very deep meditation shortly after that September picture was taken. I think it would have been maybe November or December. And in the meditation, I actually saw, I was on a cliff overlooking the ocean, and a moon was coming up off the horizon. And I stood on the cliff, and the breeze and the wind, and I could smell the air, and I could feel the salt and the spray, and it was just amazing. And this is a meditation. And I simply fell into what was happening, and I just let go. I thought, I'm not going to question what's going on. I'm just going to go through this waking dream and experience it for all the joy and the beauty and I know this is a good thing. I could feel it in my bones. And so I decided, I looked out over the ocean, and then all of a sudden, coming up through the water, this vision of a Hindu god came. And I at the time didn't know a whole lot about Hinduism and their deities. And I'm slowly beginning to learn. But it was Lord Shiva. I did find out it was Lord Shiva later on. But he reached out his hand to me, and he had his hand out like this, and he reached out his hand to me. And he said, "Don't worry, help is coming." And I didn't know what they meant at first. I was like, okay, help is coming. I'm thank you. And but he was so helpful and so calming. The vision was so calming that I just trusted it completely. I didn't know what it meant. I didn't know. There was nothing beyond that would say this would happen or that would happen. Just that help was coming, that help was on the way. And about 4 to 6 months later, I'd have to double check the dates, I came across a YouTube video of a couple, Sri and Kira. And they, after that, watching that video completely changed my life. And I followed them fairly diligently for 4 years, but I never really committed myself to following an actual spiritual tradition. I had been of the sort, probably because of my education and whatnot, of the sort to go and learn about all different kinds of religions and spiritualities, and then take what works for them and use it in my own rituals, my own spiritual regime. So I never actually committed myself to any one followings or any one teachings. And then something amazing, even more amazing than stumbling across Shri and Kira, because they turned out to be the help. I left this little nugget out. Not long after watching them, they were in one of their sanctuary studios, and there was standing there in the corner the crystalline Shiva, and it was the exact same pose with the hand out. I was like, this is my help. They are my help. So I decided that I would follow along, but I hadn't actually committed myself. And a lot of teachers and gurus always say you should commit yourself at least for a year to one teaching. And again, I never really had believed in that. I now know that that's my ego not wanting me to settle, not wanting me to always be searching and looking and taking care of me and protecting me. That's what the ego does. It's supposed to protect you. I know that now. But last March, so we're going back, not this past March equinox, we're talking about last March, there was a festival held in Ecuador called the Women Wellness and Awakening Festival, WWA. And it was a gathering of spiritual people and women and a beautiful group in the Andes Mountains, the Kinyari, uh, Tosa Blue Mountain. If you want to learn all about it again, please just go to Shri and Kira. You'll learn about the Kinyari and who they are. Beautiful people. And I listened that weekend. They had a series of events that were basically streamed, very similar to this, out live to everybody. And I watched one of the nights before the whole weekend even started. It was an introduction to Oneness Talk Radio and all of the guests, or all of the hosts on Oneness Talk Radio. And I just loved watching all of the guests interact, and their energy just built on one another and grew on one another, and they were just really co-creating in that room. And one lady in particular who I'd never met until that moment really hit on me, and her name was Donna. And Donna was a bright, sunny smile, bright ray of sunshine. You're all fortunately going to get to meet her in a couple of weeks if she's going to be on my show. And she was just this bright ray of sunshine, and she basically said the same sentiment, that love is the strongest thing in the universe and love conquers all, and why can't we just learn to love one another? And the moment she said that, something went off in my head and it just clicked. And I was like, those are exactly the things I've been saying this whole time. Oh my God. There are people out there who actually believe the same thing that I believe. And so I watched the whole weekend. I had to watch the rest of the weekend. And from there, I learned about the water bearers. And the water bearers, yes, Donna is amazing. I absolutely love Donna. And I can't wait for her to be on my show. So I'm so honored that she agreed to be a guest. So she's going to be on, hopefully the 28th. Now, where was I? Blink, blank. So I watched that whole weekend, and there I met another group of a couple of lovely ladies and they had an organization called the Water Bearers, waterbearers.org. And Jane and Erin, and they're both beautiful women with this presence about them. I watched that presentation last March, and again, something clicked. You know, that before you were a different person, and then that click, and now you're a completely different person. Again, it happened to me again. I was just watching them talk about water and wanting to get clean, fresh water out to all these women in various countries around the world who don't have access to clean water. Places like Zimbabwe, Sierra Leone, even in the Andes. So they had gotten in touch, connected with Sri and Kira, and we're at the festival giving a presentation. And I couldn't believe it. I was just, these people are just doing such beautiful work. I want to help somehow. But at the time, I wasn't in the financial situation to be able to help them necessarily in a monetary way. So I didn't know what to do. I had been working for the last 5 years on myself. So I had just taken a break and was trying to figure out where my next path was leading. But all of a sudden, I picked up my pen and my trusty notebook, and I started writing. And if anybody who knew me before, when I was younger, a kid, before I became older and jaded, I used to write all the time. I wrote everything, poems, short stories. I was constantly writing. I loved it. It was part of me. But over the course of my adulthood, I decided, or not that I decided, writing became made me nervous. I had decided that I wasn't good enough, that you couldn't go anywhere. Why bother? So I stopped, and I didn't even really give it a try. And I had gotten to the point that I couldn't even pick up a notepad or even look at a computer to try and write something. It just, my mind would completely blank out, and I was almost incapable of doing it. And it was very hard and hurtful, because you want to be able to put your soul, when you're a writer, you want to be able to put your soul out on the paper. You want to be able to tell people stories, and I couldn't do it. And it made me very, very sad. But I saw Jane and Erin, and they were talking about the water bearers, and the click happened. And I picked up my notebook, and I sat down, and I started writing. And I wrote, and I wrote, and I wrote, and I had a child's book all finished after it was all said and done. And it was the most amazing thing. And I was fortunate enough to be able to get in contact with them. And we've since been, we're hopefully going to be, we've been collaborating. And I just recently did an article for the Water Bearers website. So if you want to go check it out, go over there to the waterbearers.org. But they gave me extra encouragement. And from March onward, I decided, you know what? I'm going to commit myself for a year. I'm going to do it. I'm going to follow my Self-Ascension, yoga of Self-Ascension, and I'm going to read these lessons and embrace them wholeheartedly as part of who I am. Because I have been preaching since I was a little kid that love is everything and love is the universe, and I've been getting, you'll see when you grow older. You'll see when you grow up. And I still believed it deep down. I know. And so I just decided to do this. I decided when I heard Donna say those exact same words, those exact same things, I was just like, I got to know these people more. I need to be in touch with these people. So I immediately started following and embracing as best I could. Not as best I could, as much as I could. And through there, my knowing grew, my understanding grew that I am this person who is capable of doing so much. We are all capable of doing so much. Oh my goodness. Even when you don't think, even if you're poor and broke and you don't have, big lavish expense accounts to do things and go places, and you can do so much. I don't have those things. We don't need those things. All you need is yourself, your heart, and your knowing that deep inside, love is the most strongest thing in the universe. And together we are better. Just like Kira always says, together we are better. And we can co-create things, and you can create the life that you've always wanted. Me, a year later, I am on Oneness Talk Radio. I have my own show, something I never would have thought would have been possible. I've started my own business. There's so many gifts and things out there. We just need to not listen to the negative voices in our head anymore. We need to say, okay, acknowledge them. You know they're there. You know you got this. It's like, okay, I hear you. I understand. You want to save me. You want to protect me. I don't need that anymore. So we're just going to say thank you for giving me the warning signal, because that's what your ego does when it puts up those negative voices and those guardrails that it loves to put up. It's your ego trying to stop you from doing things. And trust me, ego is a sly little devil, and it can get into places that you didn't even know. Kira calls it the spiritualized ego. And you think that you're on unconditional love, but there's still those little undercurrents. It's hard to describe. But unconditional love is the strongest and greatest thing. And I've learned that through the yoga of self-ascension. And no, I knew that. They've just reaffirmed it within me. And it's been an amazing journey. And I would highly recommend, even if you don't follow Shri and Kira, find yourself that teacher, that community that brings you together, that holds you in high honor and is and love, and is willing to stand beside you and lift you up instead of pull you down. And there are those communities out there. Oh, namaste, Gary, Lynn, mwah, love you all. That we can do this together. If enough of us realize that we don't need to be involved with the negative, we don't need to be judgmental, we don't need to be afraid. We don't need to be afraid. We don't need to be afraid of ourselves. We don't need to be afraid of each other. You'll know when that community comes up. You'll know, you'll feel it, you'll see it. You won't need to worry. When you shift your energy and you begin to, and the best way to shift your energy, be thankful, gratitude, thankful for even the smallest things, even if it's, the dog woke you up early in the morning and you were able to hit because of it. Because, when the dog wakes you up early in the morning, you don't think, oh, yay, The dog woke me up early in the morning, but the dog woke you up early in the morning so that you could catch the garbage man. Small blessings. If you could just see that instead of being grumbly about the dog waking you up in the morning, how miraculous would the rest of your day be? It's like, oh, I got the garbage. Yay, thank you. And you love your dog and you give him a treat and say thank you for because the universe is going to be poking, especially your pets. They love, poke your pets to get you to do things, to take you away from those things that you don't or shouldn't be looking at. I know when I get involved too much with the news, all of a sudden my cat or my dog will come walking up and waddling up to me, and they'll put their head in my lap, or they'll start rubbing up against me so that I can't pay attention to the news anymore. And that's when I realize, oh, this is a sign from the universe saying, Angela, you've watched a little bit too much. I think it's time for you to let go now. And I do. Because it just brings our energy down. And if you have to, try and find the news that's a little bit more upbeat about the people that are out there helping, that are out there doing what they can in the world as opposed to bringing it down. That's the type of news I try and find as best I can. But that is what life is about. We're going to have stuff thrown at us. Bad stuff happens. But if we can, because we're co-creating this together. So as great as your life might be, and as much as you bring in all the good things that you want in your life and you get rid of all the bad things that you don't want in your life, you're co-creating with other people. You're doing a dance. You're moving. You're shaking. You live with a family, a community, a society. So we're all literally, all of the things that we've got our creative juices, we're all flowing together. So occasionally things might come into your view that's a little less than what you desired. But I try and see that look at that as a growing opportunity, a way of saying, okay, that hurts. I shouldn't do that again. It's very similar to putting your hand on a hot stove. All right, that hurt. I acknowledge that. I'm going to grow from it, and I'm never going to touch the hot stove again. If all of us can get a little bit more of that childlike perspective back, I think that's also a good key too. Being thankful and honoring yourself and acknowledging yourself, but try and see the childlike aspects of yourself, because that is what I've realized I've become, or not become. I shedded the old. You shed the persona, you shed the ego, and you get back to that childlike wonder, that wanting to go out and see, what the world has to offer. Start your own radio show. Start a community garden. Start an art class. Even if you, in the time of COVID, who's to say you have to do this all together? You can do a live stream. You can do streaming with your buddies and try and put together a Bob Ross painting. Get together with your friends and all of you stream, and one of you put a Bob Ross on there, and you all try and do the Bob Ross painting. Why not? Hey, these little things that we can do to connect and communicate and lift other people's spirits, to be in service. Like Shri and Kara always say, just to be in service, even if service is simply being kind. If you can be in service as best you can to yourself and to other people, and have that childlike wonder, it just all flows. Your life flows. It flows with ease and with a little bit more of a knowing and a little less anxiety. And I don't know about you, but there's enough anxiety going on in the world right now. So we could all use a little bit less of that. But it's, I'm just going to double check to make sure I've covered everything here. Okay. like I said, we all have our stories. Those stories that you're 1 minute you're here and the next minute you're different. And we don't share these stories with ourselves because we're afraid. And then when we do, we sometimes, I guess many of you, some of you here I know have this probably resonates with you, where that moment has happened and you're just like, and you tell somebody or you tell a group of people, and then bit by bit it gets brought down bit by bit. Your flame is being doused. Let's put it that way. And eventually the thing that made you click, the thing that made you, unless it's a very major event, bless people who have had major events in their lives that have caused these clicks. My heart goes out to them. Mine have been much more gentle in compared to others, war, near-death experiences, so on and so forth. But when you have this click that goes off in your head, you want to share it. You want to be with these people, or people that can understand you or resonate with you. But when you go to the people around you, they tend to be a little bit, oh, okay, well, that's nice. I like that one. That one's my favorite. That's nice. And so this community and this show is been a lifesaver for many who have been able to come together and tell their stories and share their stories with one another. And I have heard some of them through the Oneness Talk Radio chats, and they're just glorious and wonderful and inspiring. And I would love to have all of these people as guests eventually on the show, because their attitudes on life are amazing. They have moved through some serious stuff. Some have, and then some are just very similar to me. Life is not the way you had planned it and has slowly, bit by bit, beaten us down. There's so many underlying reasons why these happen, and we don't want to drag those up, those traumas, those things. We want to move past them. We might need to acknowledge the hurts and the pains that we felt and move through them. And again, that's where practices come in. If you don't want to follow Shri and Kira or anyone like a guru or anything like that, find a meditation or a church or something that resonates with you on that deep, centered, spiritual level. Find that community. Share your stories with that community. Be with that community, because they are the community that will grow and grow and grow until eventually more people have encompassed, and together we are better. If we grow it just bit by bit, the attitude of the world can change. And I absolutely 100% believe that to be true. If I can go out into the world and even just help one person or make one person's day, even if it's just simply, again, saying hi or helping them with their groceries. Or I just saw a beautiful gentleman who mows lawns once a day for people for free because that can't mow their lawns. And I thought that was an amazing thing. Just one act of kindness a day can change someone else's life, and then they go out and change someone else's life, and so on and so forth. And it just has that rippling effect. And we say that, and I know that when we go out into the world, it's not necessarily as princessy and as easy as I might make it out to be. But it can be if you focus ahead of time. If you can say to yourself, I'm going to have a good day and I'm going to go out there and I'm going to help and make someone else smile today. And if you go out the door like that, see what kind of day your day is being created. If you go out the door with that attitude, what kind of day are you going to have? Certainly a lot better than if the dog woke you up and you're be within yourself, find happiness and center in yourself, and then go out and make that happen out in the world in service to others. And bit by bit, we can do this. Bit by bit, we can change things. Together, we are better. And I firmly and totally believe that 100%. I'm just checking my time. Don't want to go over with you all. I'm just enjoying this so much. I don't want to go over, though. I think maybe another Ave Sa breath is in order. And maybe this time, what I'd like to do is send the love first to Gaia for that which she is birthing right now. Her children are slightly running amok, but she can use all the love she could get. So I would love to do 3 more Ave Sa breaths. All right. And hands on heart, remember? Hands on heart. It grounds you. It centers you. Ave. Sa. Ave. Sa. Ave. Sa. And smile. Kara always says, remember, smile. I found out that smiling actually causes chemical reactions in your brain. So even if you're not in a good mood, even if you are having a hard time, if you can smile, it literally begins to change your chemistry. So a smile, hand on heart, smile, deep breath, simple, easy, free, open, no borders, no boundaries, all you. These 3 simple things put together can ground and center you and open you up to the world around you like you have never seen before. I am honored that I have been able to have this journey. I am honored that I was able to have that life so that I have these lessons. They've made me who I am. Your journey has made you who you are. Don't discount that. Don't discount the bad stuff. Don't discount the good stuff. It's all just stuff that makes you you. And you're pretty damn special and you're pretty damn important. And there's nobody like you in the world. No one else has had your journey. Nobody. Your journey is your journey. And if you see that journey as creating who you are in this moment, who you are, and you love who you are in this moment, nothing can stop you. And if, unfortunately, you're disconnected from yourself in this moment, hand on heart, smile. You've got it. You can do this. Well, I think we're nearly out of time here. So I thought I'd just give you a few little things, notes. ShriandKira.com. I would highly recommend, please go and take a look. Even there's lots of information, teachings, things that are free. You don't even need to spend money. And the wisdom that is contained within these articles, lessons are amazing. And I highly recommend for anyone who's not gone and looked at Shri and Kira or read any of these lessons, so please do so. There's so many, so many. If anyone is wanting to get a hold of me, you can reach me at, maybe I'll try and write that down here. It's nope, no, we won't. One day I'll figure this out. It's water, love, and light at gmail.com. And it's all one word, water, love, and light at gmail.com. Or you can check out my website too, and that's www.waters, WATERS, of self-ascension.ca or .com. Both will work. So it's waters of self-ascension.ca or .com. Either one will work. And again, please go out, check out shriandkira.com, onenesstalkradio.com. And I am just so thankful and so honored to have been with you all today for this inaugural episode of my show, my very first episode of my show. And I am so thankful that all of you beautiful, lovely people, Lynn and Gary and Bee, three of my most beautiful supporters and cheerleaders, thank you for holding the torch out there for all of us. And you're right, Bee, together we are better, and we have got this. Until next week, I can't wait to see you all then. Much love. Namaste.